Good Pod Guide. Good Pod Guide, Pod Guide. This is the Good Pod Guide, where you'll be pleased to hear I do no more singing. Instead, I, Lauren Windle, will guide you through the abundance of podcasts out there to help you hone in on your next obsession. I'm playing a little game with myself called Danger Podcasting because I can see the battery on one of the cameras I'm using is really low, and I've chosen to take the gamble and see if I can get this whole podcast recorded before it cuts out. So if one of these cameras cuts out, then you know that I spun the wheel and I lost. But yeah, really hoping that this pays off for me. It's a gamble I often play with myself when I'm getting somewhere and I need the bathroom. And it's like, let's just see if you can get there. Let's see if you can make it, reckless, really, because the consequences of not making it are quite grave as a 30-year-old, It's not like I'm a child anymore. Anyway, this podcast that we're talking about today, hopefully before my battery runs out, is the Rewatchables, and it is about the best films to watch over and over again. And for me, thanks for asking, those films are Bridget Jones, the first two, not the third, any post-1950 Disney film, because we all know that Snow White and Dumbo were shockingly bad, and also Love Actually, any day, any time of the year. Much like a puppy, Love Actually is not just for Christmas, despite contrary opinion. So each episode of The Rewatchables, host, American sports analyst, author and podcaster William John Simmons discusses a movie with his guests. There's like a panel of guests that rotate. And if a guest is invited onto the show, it is clear that it's because they have a genuine fondness for the film being discussed. And that's quite nice, really, isn't it? I quite enjoyed the Terminator episode. I didn't know that Arnie wasn't actually supposed to be Terminator initially, but then they decided he was perfect for the role. And my goodness, weren't they right? They also had quite an interesting chat about Zac Efron and how he's kind of disappeared recently after Bad Neighbours, except maybe for Baywatch, but that didn't go down very well. Also, they flagged up that we haven't seen Channing Tatum in a while, which is really true. What has happened to Channing Tatum since Magic Mike? Maybe he just thought, this is as good as my career is ever going to get. I might as well quit while I'm ahead. And, that is possibly correct as well. They aren't that many episodes in so far with this podcast. They're at about 20 or so. So I think there's more to come, but they're each about an hour and a half long. So you've got to strap yourself in. I'm a bit apprehensive about saying this, despite the rotating of the roundtable guests, at the time of me recording this, they didn't have a single female guest on the show. What is all that about? I don't know if that's an oversight or if that's deliberate. Is this supposed to be like a bro podcast for men that women aren't invited to? And if so, get on the right side of history. I don't know. It was a bit laddie for me. It's good sort of in the background conversation, just to have on while you're doing something else. But their lack of gender diversity has got my back up a little bit. I'm not going to lie. And that's it. My battery hasn't cut out. The end. Success. The gamble has paid off. In the next episode, I make the case for Love Actually being a film you can watch at any time of the year, not just Christmas, as we look at the podcast The Rewatchables. For more info, head over to www.goodpodguide.com, and you can also follow us at Good Pod Guide on Instagram and Twitter.